communities as the Shepherd Center. But there's two reasons that I wanted to put this together is number one, I'm a huge fan of this organization and their movement. But number two, that they've gone through some radical rebranding with the Aging Forward name. And I thought that this would be a really great opportunity to celebrate that and to get to know this amazing organization that's all over the nation and what you all do. And Sarah, you're the executive director of the Aging Forward Alliance, the national effort that links all the local community efforts together. Let's just do a brief get to know you, and then I'll let you kind of take it from there and give people a glimpse at what the Aging Forward Alliance does.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. I think I speak for everyone that we're so honored to be here today and just share about what we're doing in communities across the country. I have been with this organization since about 2005. I first was a volunteer and served on the board, and then ended up becoming executive director. Um, and it has been, as I think a lot of people say, it isn't just a job for me. It really is a passion. I love the work that we do, and I just find it so meaningful. And that's what we are about in helping older adults find meaning and purpose. And so we're going to talk today about our alliance and what that looks like in different communities. So, kind of in order of how we're speaking today, Betsy Solomon is the executive director of Shepherd Center of Webster Kirkwood, which is in St. Louis. And she's going to be talking about how her program operates with a focus on some volunteer programs. And then Leah Greenfield is with LifeQuest of Arkansas in Little Rock. And they have an amazing lifelong learning program that she's going to share about. And Carolyn Pennington is with Shepherd Center of Northern Virginia. And she's going to talk a little bit more about some of our core values, particularly collaboration, which is always important in the nonprofit space.
I love this game plan. And a quick anecdote before I duck behind the curtain. Number one, I want to remind everybody, if you got questions at any point in the discussion today, just type them into chat or use Q&A, and I'll make sure that we address those. But I want to share a little anecdote because I'm based in Northern Virginia and very familiar with the Shepherd Center of Northern Virginia. And I've had ongoing discussions with a solo ager who is really doing a lot to map out her game plan. And one of her challenges is little household chores. And she had this handyman she was paying a lot of money for and wasn't delivering to her standard. And I introduced her to Shepherd Center, and then I bumped into her a couple of months later, and I said, "Hey, did you ever reach out to them? Did they do what they wanted?" He says, "Oh, Steve, that was the best introduction that I've ever had. They sent a volunteer over, and not only did he like fix the some of the drywall things in my house, but then we went around the house and he helped with a bunch of things. It was absolutely amazing." And I said, "Well, wow, are you gonna? We've created a solution for you." And she goes, "Well, I don't know if I want to use them again." And I said, "What are you talking about?" "Well, I don't like accepting charity." And I and they came out and they didn't charge me or anything. And I go, "Wait a minute here." And I told her, and I hope she made this donation. "You know how much you paid that handyman out in the regular market? It's like, why don't you just make a donation to the Shepherd Center?" And she's like, "Oh, wow, I didn't even think of that." But it's volunteers helping volunteers. It's absolutely amazing. I'm going to duck behind the curtain. I hope I didn't steal any thunder sharing that story, but I wanted to share a personal story of how much of a fanboy I am of your movement. All right. Okay, that looks good. Or, yep, there it goes. Good.
Okay, terrific. Well, again, we are just so delighted to be here with you all today. And we wanted to talk first about the National Alliance, the Aging Forward National Alliance. And we have celebrated 50 years. We were founded by a Methodist minister, Dr. Elbert Cole. And he would often say how older adults in his congregation were coming to him in retirement and saying they wanted more. They wanted to continue to give back and they wanted to continue to grow as individuals. So in 1971, he put together a community planning committee that really talked about what do older adults want in this new phase of life. And they really focused on values of empowerment and participatory decision making. And that is still so central to our model, which is why I mentioned that. A year later, they opened the very first Shepherd Center in Kansas City. And this was really a pioneering model that honored the talents and wisdom that older adults continue to offer to community. The model was so very successful that our founder was approached to help open Shepherd Centers in other communities. So he founded the national office, which when we opened was the Mid-America Resource and Training Center. We opened in 1974, and we are really the learning center to help start new Shepherd Centers or new community organizations, but also to help existing programs continue to grow and thrive. We believe not in reinventing the wheel, but in sharing the knowledge across the country. This picture here, I just want to highlight. In 1976, CBS did a documentary on our model, and I absolutely still love it today because I'm always amazed that although the video is grainy and reflective of the times, the message speaks volumes to what the model was then and what it is to now. And I just think that this kind of juxtaposition, if you will, about how the visuals have aged, our values and what we do is still very timeless and relevant today. And our kind of vision and mission and purpose, all outlined by that initial planning team, kind of has three key components, if you will. We all know that Americans are leading healthier and longer lives well into their 80s, 90s, and beyond. And it's this next chapter in life where people want to continue to grow. And it's all those dimensions. It's the physical, mental, spiritual, and civic dimensions, we often say, about aging that give meaning and purpose. The second idea is about building community, social engagement, and that true sense of belonging, which we know is something that older adults really value and place a high priority on. And then finally, it's that concept of ageism. We know that society is fascinated by youth, and as a result, kind of the value and worth of older adults diminishes. And there are so many negative stereotypes that paint older adults as frail, not having anything to contribute, not wanting to learn new things. And we really flip that and show how none of that is true, with the purpose of bringing older adults more into community and more into society. Collectively, our national alliance of 55 communities across the country serves 165,000 older adults annually. And when you look at the volunteer time and the services that we provide, that's a value to society at more than $10 million. And that's at no cost to individuals, to governments, or health organizations. We get our funding primarily, as Steve pointed out in his example, through individual donations and private grants. We do not get a lot of federal or state funding, though some organizations do get a little bit, but we're not dependent on it. And collectively, since we were first started in 1972, we estimate that we have served more than 3 million families and communities. And I want to share kind of this. Sometimes I think of this as the demographics of our alliance. We take a great deal of pride that none of our affiliates are carbon copies of each other. And this really kind of reflects our values, that we adjust to the diverse environments and the communities in which we operate. And I sometimes describe this as our shared organizational DNA. It's really a blueprint of how we provide our services, how we collaborate, some of our processes and structures. But just like biological DNA, our organizational DNA is subject to different expression. And that's how the local communities kind of adapt our model, if you will, and operate in their communities. And so some of these stats will highlight that some of our affiliates offer one program, while others may offer 6 or more. Some have a paid director, and some take great pride that they only have volunteers to operate. Some have small budgets as low as $10,000, while others have $1 million and above budgets. So again, rather than having a one-size-fits-all type of a model, our affiliates across the network have the flexibility to experiment with new ideas and to create solutions that really fit the unique needs of the older adults that they collaborate with and the communities that they serve. And this is a great way to kind of turn it over to my colleagues so that they can share some of the examples of how they implement our model. So I'll turn it to Betsy.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. My name is Betsy Solomon, and I am the Executive Director of the Shepherd Center of Webster Kirkwood, which is in the St. Louis area. And my story of how I first came to the Shepherd Center has a few things in common with Sarah's. And that is, I've been with my center for 20 years, and I started also as a volunteer. And it didn't take long, I think less than a year, before I had joined the staff, and here I still am. So couldn't be happier. It's a fantastic organization. So first slide, please, Sarah. Let's see, we're having a little, hold on, folks, we're going to get it. There we go. Thank you. So I just want to start off with giving you a really quick kind of overview, just this sketch of our center so that you have a sense of context for some of the things that I'm going to talk about. And I'm not going to go through every single one of these things, but just like Sarah indicated, we offer a number of different programs and services, and our center is what we call a full service center, and that we have a number of different support services we offer to older adults in our community. We have a number of different educational and lifelong learning programs, and all of this is made possible by volunteers. So our particular Shepherd Center of Webster Kirkwood, we were founded in 1998, so we are in our 27th year. We serve about 1,300 older adults every year. We have 15 sponsoring church congregations that help to support us in our community. I should also say we do have a number of secular partners as well. We have one full-time employee, and that is me. And we also have several part-time employees for a whopping 2.2 FTE running our organization. And the way that we do that is the 300 volunteers. So volunteers are a very important part of the Shepherd Center and the Aging Forward model. And so what I'd like to share with you today, and Sarah, you can advance to the next one, is two programs, two services that are volunteer support programs that we are offering at our current center, but are now being replicated across our national network. And both of them are volunteer-driven services. One of them is our volunteer care companions. That's an extension of our transportation service. And the other one is our technology empowerment program that was actually created here in St. Louis, and we like to call it Tech Tutor, so because that's kind of fun. So let's jump off and talk about transportation a little bit. So our transportation service here in St. Louis, it's specifically to medical appointments, but across our network, we do have other Shepherd Centers that include things like grocery shopping and errands and those types of needs as well. We began ours in 2000, and we first created the service as a result of a community assessment survey. We reached out to church pastors in our areas, community leaders, neighborhood associations, adult-focused nonprofits. And as a result of the information that we gathered, we were able to identify gaps in service in our community. And those gaps in service bring a sense of opportunity, because a big part of the Shepherd Center model is also not to duplicate services in the community, not to create competition, but to fill the gaps and better serve the older adults in our neighborhoods. And the thing that makes it all happen is volunteerism. So volunteerism is a very important part of the model because, as Sarah described, it builds community, but it also fully incorporates what we're doing and into the community, and we have support for it. Now, it's great with sustainability because on the very superficial level, if you have volunteer drivers and you're not constantly seeking funding for how to pay drivers, it becomes a more sustainable model. But also because reaching out to the community, working in collaboration with church partners and community leaders to recruit volunteers as well as get the word out about available services, that helps to build community, and that also helps to build sustainability. Now, I think that we would all agree that access to medical care is a very important determinant of health. And here's just a few statistics about older adults that do receive volunteer transportation services, how they have better health outcomes, reduction in healthcare costs, fewer hospitalization and emergency room visits, as well as just the ability to more readily have medical care. So next, please. Now, as an enhancement of our transportation service, we're piloting a new program. So that's why I call it a not new innovative model, because we already have a transportation service, but now we're kind of extending it to include more supports, because sometimes medical appointments require a little bit more than just a door-through-door service. So all of our transportation is door-through-door, that our volunteers pick up the person at their home, they drive them to their appointment, they stay at that appointment for the return trip home, maybe stopping at the pharmacy if that's required. Some appointments require a little bit more than that. Some appointments might be a little bit longer, and some appointments like a routine colonoscopy or cataract surgery might require a little bit more TLC when that person reaches the home. Someone to walk them in, maybe someone to make sure they're settled at home, having those medical directions handy, making sure any prescriptions are available to them, and then maybe touching base with a family member and saying, they're home safe, everything went well, you can check on them later. So that is part of our volunteer care companion model, and we're piloting that in St. Louis because we know that that is also a very needed service for older adults in our community. Now, with anything related to transportation, we like to say it is so much more than just a ride, because our door-through-door model really is friendship and social interaction. So from our writers' point of view, they have conversation partners and they have a great sense of belonging. But from our volunteers' point of view, they have an opportunity to give back to the community with volunteer service, as well as being given a sense of purpose. So not only are we serving the older adults in our community with our services, we also feel like we're serving our volunteers because we are giving them those opportunities in their retirement. Next, please. So then I just want to also switch gears a little and give a little bit of a shout out to our Tech Tutor program. So here in St. Louis, we started our Tech Tutor program as just kind of a lark. Let's just try it and see what happens in 2017. And that got real serious with the pandemic because we all know how everything started to be on Zoom, and the need for digital literacy and access just exploded during those years. So it gave us great opportunity again, recognizing the need in the community to develop the program. So what we do with our technology empowerment and our tech tutors is that we assist low-income older adults to secure internet access and devices. And we do that in a sustainable way, and that is that we work in collaboration with other nonprofits that offer those kinds of benefits, and we're able to help navigate our people towards those particular services, in many cases help them apply. We promote digital literacy with pairs of tech tutor volunteers that work one-on-one with our participants on their own devices, starting from wherever they are in their learning process to teach them the skills that they want to learn. With our outreach, we prioritize equity, reaching out to low-income older adults in our community. And like our transportation service, it's more than just volunteering. It's giving back to your community, and it's also fostering growth and awareness of the issues of lack and equity in our communities. And that's important too, because the more that people understand where those gaps of opportunity and equity are, the more you build that awareness in your community. So we have our Tech Tutor Volunteer Program as well. Next, Sarah. So this is the fun part. I get to share some testimonials. So I'm not going to read them all to you. I'm just going to read two. I'm going to read you my favorites. And the first one is Kevin here on the left. What I like best is knowing that I'm providing a much needed service and then receiving sincere words of gratitude for the rides that we provide, while at the same time being able to offer a bit of companionship along the way. Most definitely, the Shepherd Center has positively impacted my life and has been an important part of my retirement activities. And then from our Tech Tutor program, Tech Tutor classes are a priority in my life as they give me opportunity to learn technology in a safe and non-judgmental atmosphere. And next, some outcomes. All of us, of course, we measure our outcomes. And as a result of our transportation service, our riders experience a greater sense of independence, less feelings of isolation. They feel safer and more secure, and they're better able to keep medical appointments. And then our tech tutor folks, also less social isolation, as well as just a better ability to communicate with friends and family and obtain information about needed community resources. And then they've just learned new skills and that they're able to apply in their everyday life. And that's just so important to building a sense of confidence and building a sense that they're really included in community in new ways. So these are two of our kind of signature services that we have that are volunteer driven. Of course, our Shepherd Center also has lifelong learning programs, but nobody is a champion of lifelong learning more than Leah. So that is her part. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Betsy. I'm Leah Greenfield with LifeQuest of Arkansas in Little Rock, Arkansas. LifeQuest of Arkansas will celebrate 44 years in the fall. We were founded in 1981, and our founder, Jay Jernigan, went to a Shepherd Centers of America retreat and learned about it and came back and talked to community faith leaders about this program, Shepherd Center, and we have to have that in Little Rock, Arkansas for our community. So it was founded as Shepherd Center of Little Rock, and then the name was changed in 2006 to Life Quest of Arkansas. But really, and I've been here for 10 years and executive director for 3, I think the pandemic really forced us to live up to the Arkansas part of our name, because with the opening up of Zoom classes, we were really able to expand across the state. If you want to show the next slide, Sarah. So our mission, we have put all our eggs in the lifelong learning basket. So where we were founded with more services, some of those have gradually over 40 plus years fallen away, but our lifelong learning, our educational program, has just become what we are all about. So that is what we're known for. Our mission is to promote healthful longevity and active aging through lifelong learning and meaningful volunteerism within the community. We like to say that we are like a small college for retired aged adults with no test. We have classes, but no test, grades, or required attendance. So we're not a degree distributing organization. We're like other Shepherd Centers, 501c3. We're a nonprofit. Our classes are taught by volunteers, and our curriculum is built by volunteers. So we have a curriculum committee of volunteers separate from our board of directors that vet our classes and make sure that we have classes in a good range and balance of subjects and topics. So our pillars that we build our curriculum on are intellectual engagement, social connection, and physical wellness. Are our classes designed to fit into one of those categories? And on the left, you see an art class. In the middle, Mahjong, very popular. And then we have a whole wide range of physical exercise classes. They're all taught by volunteers. And I always ask this of our members or our sponsors or our faith community partners, of those 3, which do you think is the most important to our members? And if you're thinking social connection, that's what most people say. So our apologies to our instructors who put a lot of time and thought into those classes. They've prepared those classes, and that may be the reason people come, is to take that class, that literature class, that science class, that watercolor class. But the reason they stay is for the conversations that happened before, during, and after class. So when I go into our snack area and listen to people arguing and debating about what did Faulkner mean in that paragraph, in that characterization, in that alliterative section of the novel Absalom, Absalom, what did that instructor mean, or what were they trying to teach us in that spirituality class? Or how did we improve our bridge playing or mahjong or pickleball? So when they're talking about the classes, they're not talking about their upcoming knee and hip replacement surgery. They're not talking about the fear of caregiving for a parent or a spouse or a grandchild. They're talking about what's going on with the classes and each other and their opinions. And it could be over coffee and donuts. And sometimes those conversations get kind of heated, but that social connection is the glue for our programs, and we love that. Next slide, please. So how are we organized? We're organized, again, think of a college, and this is just Life Quest of Arkansas. Lots of other Aging Forward affiliates have classes, have educational programs. They're often called Adventures in Learning programs. This is just how we are, and I like what Sarah said. Every affiliate affiliate has that permission to formulate our programs dependent on what our community needs are and where our strengths are. So Little Rock is a small city. We're the seat of government. We're surrounded by colleges. We have our medical school and our law school in town. So we have a lot of thought leaders. We have a lot of intellectual mass to take advantage of. So when we started, all of our classes, of course, were in person. And then the pandemic forced us and gave us the opportunity, I like how Betsy says it is an opportunity, to create online classes. What we have found is the sweet spot is to have about a third of our classes have a hybrid option where there's the ability for in-person participants, but also online participants. And even though most of our classes are in person, we're still committed to having about a third have that hybrid or online capability, because we want folks who are not in Central Arkansas, but in all four corners of our state and surrounding states to be able to participate in classes. Anybody on this webinar today can register and participate in an online or hybrid class at LifeQuest of Arkansas. You don't have to be in Arkansas, and many of our members are not, and some of our instructors teach from out of state. We also know that some of our members have caregiving responsibilities or physical limitations, so that coming to class is not always a possibility. So having that online or hybrid option is important. It's also important for many of those classes to be recorded. So just like this webinar is recorded and we might be able to share it with others in our communities after today, we're able to share our recorded classes with anybody who is registered. So we're organized in a term system, a 4-quarter term system. We have an 8-week fall term, an 8-week winter term, an 8-week spring term, and a 4-week summer term. And each of those terms has its own registrants. So next slide, I think that'll show us some impact. So in an average year, and I took these numbers from 2024, we had a little over 2,000 participants enroll in classes in one or more terms throughout the year. But we have 1,900 recordings in our online library, and we have been adding to those recordings. That's not per year, actually. That one is cumulative over the past 4 years since we've started adding those classes in our recordings. And Betsy, I wonder if your class is in there. I'll have to check. Is it? We utilize Betsy's expertise as an art historian in one of our classes, and that was a great way of kind of collaborating across Shepherd Center's Aging Forward affiliates. We serve lunch. Again, another social engagement opportunity. We have both in-person lunch and a pickup curbside meal, which is really important for some of our homebound participants. We are run by volunteers. So in an average year, we have 240 to 250 volunteer instructors teaching those classes. Sometimes an instructor will teach all 8 weeks within a term, and sometimes one class has an overreaching umbrella and 8 different instructors will teach that. For example, one of our popular classes is led by something we call the LifeQuest Law Crew. And it's a loose group of retired judges and lawyers. And if you have a judge or lawyer in your family or friend group, you know that they're very good researchers, they're very good lecturers, they're very good storytellers. So they pick a topic, it could be famous murder cases of the 20th century, or women who made an impact in the 40s through 60s. Something, an overarching topic, and then each week a different instructor will pick up the lead on. One of my favorites was vice presidents who never became president. So they're very good topics, and would they have the ability to pretty much choose what they want to teach, and they're always fascinating. So we have an average 8-week term, about 50 to 55 classes that are taught Monday through Thursdays. That's really like going to college. You have a forced choice. You get your calendar, your schedule for that term, and you say, okay, what am I going to take during the 9 o'clock hour? Ooh, I want to take this at the 10 o'clock hour, but I can't take both at the same time. So I'll watch the recording of that one, and I'll take this one in person. And then I'm going to have an 11 o'clock class. Then I'm going to break for lunch and either go out with friends or eat lunch at LifeQuest. And then I'm going to come back in the afternoon for yoga or Tai Chi or Pilates, something like that. All of our programs are run by volunteers, and in addition to the instructors, it takes a lot of volunteers to put the mailing together, to put the name tags together, to be greeters, to provide snacks, to set up the lunchroom, to serve the lunch. We pretty much put anybody to work at LifeQuest. Next slide. We serve right in 2024, 17 Arkansas counties. We have a few out-of-state partners as our participants as well. We have an average of 20. Last year we had 21 corporate sponsors and 21 supporting congregations. So but most of our support comes from individuals. When we look at where the foundation of our gifts come from, it is through our membership. And we grew quite a bit last year, this year from the year before, in not only the size of gifts, but the number of donors from our membership. So that is not reflected in there, but really the primary support is from individuals. We're very grateful for our corporate sponsors and our growing faith community. Those are really important in our ability to provide scholarships. So one thing about the way we're organized is we have all these classes, but we don't want people to come and take their class and leave. So to encourage a sense of membership, we have a fee for that term. So when your fee for this summer, for example, we're in the middle of registering for our 4-week summer term, your $45 fee for the summer covers all the classes that you can take for that one term fee, so that you can fill your schedule, you can add on, you can jump around. Oh, I didn't really like this one, but I want to try this one. And you come and you participate as a member of LifeQuest for the summer. That fee covers that, so that you're not paying per class. We have 4 full-time staff. I've done all the jobs except bookkeeping and payroll, but we have an administrative assistant who is our program coordinator. She's also in charge of all of our volunteers. So we have a designated full-time person coordinating volunteers. And then we have a business manager who does all of the money stuff that I don't want to do. And then we have a program director who is really our tech guru, who coordinates all the spreadsheets of where are all those classes set up and how are those instructors supported. And then my job as executive director is mostly the liaison with our board, our curriculum committee, and fundraising. I think that is my last slide. I should have taken my own notes. Oh, that does remind me. The one thing that I didn't mention was our education partners. One of the things we did in the pandemic, as our enrollment was hurt and cut in less than half, was we reached out to organizations larger than ourselves that had missions that were in line with our educational purpose. And those educational partners are a large library system, our Clinton Presidential Library that's located in Little Rock, 2 museums, and a literacy group. And by working with educational partners, we were able to not only enrich our class offerings, but broaden our reach within our community and across the state. So I know Carolyn's going to be talking about collaboration, and educational partners is our best example of how we do that at LifeQuest. That's all I have. Carolyn, take it away with your part.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Leah, Betsy, and Sarah. That was just so fun. I'm thrilled. I'm Caroline Pennington. I'm the Executive Director of the Shepherd Center of Northern Virginia. And I'm thrilled to talk about the local and national collaboration and how that serves our organization and the communities that we serve. Sarah, if you want to advance. So the Shepherd Center of Northern Virginia was established 27 years ago. I have a little bit different of a unique story of how I came to the Shepherd Center. A previous executive director, I met her, Michelle Scott, in 2015, and just loved the mission and the work that the organization was doing in the community. I was working in senior living at the time, and we became a sponsor, a major sponsor, and we saw the value, and just we committed every year to be one of those major sponsors, to be in the mix, to be having conversations. And like any other sort of quasi volunteer, you get on the development committee, you do more and you learn more, and you just become more passionate about what the organization is doing and how it can play these different roles in the community and in the business community. So when this executive director position became available 4 years ago, I jumped at it. I absolutely jumped at it. But in the 27 years that the Shepherd Center has been around, and again, our founders, just like Betsy's, went to an information session and came back saying, we really do want to serve our community with this model. And so we had some real passionate people who formed the core of the Shepherd Center to help with strategic and operational and community planning. And so we did a lot of that with the support of the congregations who would provide insight at, the advisory council. They would provide support for volunteers, communication, participants, and even funding. And so this is how the Shepherd Center of Northern Virginia began. I really love some of the words that I'm going to reiterate that we're talking about today. And it's collaboration, it's opportunity, it's listening, it's asking, and it's working together. And that is so typical of what the Aging Forward Alliance is trying to do, or not trying, is what they are doing, and offering guidance to local communities where we're talking and seeing a need and seeing that there may be other passionate people who are inspired to step into this role and help fill it. And we're very fortunate in the Northern Virginia area that we are one of 5 affiliates in this region with the Shepherd Center model. So we cover most all of Fairfax County and Arlington County. And we keep on growing like others. Some programs that may have served earlier in our years don't serve as well now that we have evolved and that there are new opportunities taking place. One of those for us, just so people know, we started as Shepherd Center of Oakton, Vienna, but then one of our congregational partners asked us to come into another area of Reston Herndon and serve their very large congregation as well. So we did expand to that area. It would be surprising for a lot of people to know that in Northern Virginia, which is a very well-known, reputed to be a very wealthy area, that we do have identified islands of disadvantage where opportunities are not equal among our populations. And so we're very excited to develop new areas where we can go in and collaborate with the communities and with other providers in that area to fill a need that's not being filled. During this time period too, of course, COVID hit. There was a small Shepherd Center of Great Falls that decided to come under our umbrella for greater business efficiencies. And so we did feel like that area, Fairfax County, and so able to serve the communities and the people in that area. But those opportunities come about by listening and by having conversations. We do have very robust regional meetings among our affiliates up here. What's working, what's not, what supports can we provide each other, and who are some of our collaborators that we can share and help expand and reach more people with a like mission. You don't have to be a nonprofit to share a like mission, to serve older adults, to encourage healthy aging, to encourage social connection, to find ways for people to volunteer and get involved and still feel really good about using a skill set. And that's very exciting. I would like to offer too, like the Aging Forward Alliance is a real like knowledge base for us. It's really funny. I wish I have pictures of our history. We used to do ride matching by phone and paper and index cards in a box. Thankfully, today we have software technology that really helps us do that. But as new technology comes along, there's new learning, there's new best practices, and a small affiliate's not going to be able to stay on top of everything. So being part of the Aging Forward Alliance is invaluable to get together on a regular basis and share those best practices, share new technology, share their library database of information. So that's very, very helpful. And so I love to use this as a springboard to say, as Sarah said in the beginning, there are more opportunities out there, and we're very interested in connecting with people who will be the connector to that next link of, oh, we need an affiliate, or this community could really use an affiliate. Let's have a conversation. One interesting thing that happened to me the other week is this woman's got this great idea to use AI and learning and this and that. And I'm like, you know what? This is brilliant. I'm not your person. Sarah Cheney's your person, because she's got the vision and she's hearing from different centers. But you may not have gotten that email yet, Sarah. But, I'm thrilled to be a connector. And I know other people are too, because we share that mission. I just wanted to point out some of our, nonprofit partners, and our other partners do include today civic partners, and not necessarily or not restricted to faith partners. We say we are a non-denominational organization. We are faith affiliated because we do have the Congregational Advisory Council, but today that's becoming more like our Community Advisory Council, because we want to use that with our civic partners, our neighborhood groups, and people who may not have that faith affiliation, which is just fine. It helps us get to new areas. So next slide, please. I'm going to talk just a few examples where we work together in our community. I know we have a large Northern Virginia audience here, so you never know when you hear something that may connect with you all. to come to us and say, hey, this might be an opportunity. But the ways that the Shepherd Center here is working with different organizations. First is the Aging Forward's biannual conference. And that's a real opportunity for us to go, as I mentioned before, and get a lot of knowledge of best practices and come back and be better strategically and operationally for the way that we are collaborating with all of our different partners. Some of those partners include people like the large healthcare providers, Inova, Kaiser, Virginia Health, the social workers. They all use a referral program called Unite Us that's really focused on social determinants of health. So that is a wonderful way to bring all of our area affiliates onto the Unite Us platform, so we're all able to get different referrals. And because we're offering some of these classes and programs, transportation and different supports, make a quicker connection and better serve the participants as well as the community. And as Betsy reiterated or mentioned, these are all about health outcomes. These are all about keeping people healthier and more connected. So when we can have a successful connection like this, it can help that participant. We have a lot of professionals and professional organizations in our area. We are just thrilled to have Steve Gurney as one of our cheerleaders. So thank you. We really appreciate it. We need you, Steve. So we are part of the WAFA NVSRN. We went and spoke recently to the NAFRE, if y'all know that, National Association of Federal Retired Employees. And ew, was that hot. That was a hot meeting. I'm just going to say what not everybody would say, you know. But there were some very excited people there who are no longer working. But you know what? They're looking for something to do in retirement. And so they are thrilled with all the very, very many ways that people can collaborate with an affiliate. Whether, I mean, it may be driving, it may be working directly with a participant, it may be on a board, maybe financial. I mean, there's so many different, maybe strategic, opening doors for us at different sponsor opportunities or network opportunities. So that's really important for us. Area agencies on aging are a good place for our affiliate collaborations. And then also transportation partners like NB Rides, food banks, and food delivery are areas where our volunteers and their needs are a little bit more direct. I'm not going to go into everything because I think we're running out of time, but we're looking real quick. Community ambassadors that help us make those outreach opportunities really, really important because we can't be everywhere. We do have small staff. And, you know, it's really, I was at an association meeting and where I gave a little bit longer of an introduction. I had that opportunity. And someone's like, oh, I didn't know you do that. I know somebody you should talk to. So you really never know, you know, where those opportunities might come from. We're looking for them. So next slide, please. And then lastly, I did want to say a few things about collaboration before I end. Now, this number just always stuns me. The cost of caregiving to an employed person is estimated at $300,000 for a lifetime. And then for employers in the US, the annual loss due to caregiving is estimated at $32 billion, and this is annually. This is a conservative number. People are throwing around 50 million, and these are people like MetLife and people who are really looking into the numbers. But I didn't want to use that number yet. 32 billion conservatively. So some people will say, oh, you're a nonprofit, you're doing driving. I'm really not sure how the connection is there. But we provide a resource and a solution not only to the caregiver, but to the employer. And we are seeing that more in our center. That some of our organizations, our corporate organizations, are launching employer sponsored volunteer days. They're hosting volunteer events. And some of these are large national organizations like Navy Federal. We went and were part of their volunteer days. Some of them do matching gifts at the holidays. Once we did, adopt an older adult for for Christmas, lots of different opportunities. So where you see where you're sitting today and where your opportunities may be, we'd love to have conversations. We'd love to hear where we might be collaborative partners. And if there isn't an affiliate in that area and you see a need, happy to start having those conversations about how we can fill that need. So thank you.
I just want to quickly close too. I know we're running out of time, but pulling all of this together, and as Steve kind of mentioned in the beginning, that we rebranded with our 50th anniversary. We believe that this rebrand to Aging Forward is symbolic in a lot of ways, to reflect how we are constantly evolving. And it also reflects our deep desire to collaborate with more organizations who are working in this same space. One size does not fit all. We believe we can learn from one another. And just like if you think about feeding the hungry in America, you think of Feeding America. When you think of connecting older adults, we want society to think of Aging Forward and the continuum of services and programs that are offered around the country.
I love it. I love it. There's a few reasons why I'm excited to spotlight you. Is that, as I had said at the very beginning, huge fan of this movement. We need Aging Forward Alliance members in every neighborhood, in every community. But however, that may or may not be possible. And when it's not possible, just the spirit of helping our neighbors and collaborating together, the grassroots. This is, as Carolyn said, I mean, there's so many solutions for social isolation, but your initiative really helps those people that don't have the assets and the income to create to go out and hire people to help them out, to have that social network. And this makes a huge difference. It stretches what we've got so that we can continue to live a purposeful life. And Sarah, like, out of curiosity, like, if somebody's listening to this, and folks, you can go on the Aging Forward website and you can see where all the alliances are. But let's say that somebody, is inspired by this discussion and they look and they see that there's not an Aging Forward Alliance chapter in their region. Is the first step to reach out to you and kind of understand how to start one of these if they were motivated to start a chapter in their community?
Yes. And so we do help with startup. We provide mentoring throughout the process of starting a new affiliate. But also, we know that there are lots of existing programs. Sometimes they're an outreach ministry of one congregation or just a small nonprofit that we believe we could learn from one another if they were part of something larger. So instead of operating in a silo, if they would like to collaborate with us, Our philosophy is a rising tide lifts all boats. That we
Exactly.
all win when we work together. The need is there. There's no way we're going to meet all of the need, but by collaborating, we think we will be able to serve more people and meet more needs.
Yeah, and I like the fact that, when somebody calls you in a region where you might not have a official Aging Forward Alliance member, there might be some other resources. And before this morning, I got an email asking, it's like, wow, the Aging Forward, I went to their website. It feels a lot like the villages, the village to village movement. And my response was, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of similarities, but this is a big country and we need everything out there, every possible resource out there to address the needs of the community.
And we believe by, these networks, whether it's Aging Forward or Village to Village, when we collaborate, then we're raising awareness nationally. And
Yeah.
again, we want to be, when people think of social isolation for older adults or how do you connect older adults, we want them to say, hey, I know a group that is in many communities and we're going to reach out to them. And so, whether that's, we're just looking how we can bring everybody together to collaborate because there's no one right way.
And the overarching goal is initiatives that support us helping each other. There are so many people that are out there that want to volunteer, but they don't know where to go, or they don't, they might want to help their neighbor, but they don't want to be on the hook to always helping their neighbor. And this is one situation where I've definitely referred Shepherd Center is when I sort of challenge people to that. It's sort of like, is there somebody in your neighborhood that needs help? And they're like, yeah. And I go, well, one way you could do it is introduce them to the Shepherd Center, then you volunteer for the Shepherd Center so that there's this buffer, there's an organization that's supporting helping. Um, okay, Elizabeth Green says, isn't Medicaid or the local senior center supposed to provide all of these services? A great question, Elizabeth. I'm going to let some of our panel members riff on this one, and I can jump in as well.
I would love to just say one thing real quick. A lot of in Northern Virginia, we have no income limits to qualify for our transportation because we know income is not necessarily one of the variables to getting somebody to their medical appointment. We have a pilot program where we're offering free taxis for people, and they don't want those. They don't want the taxi. They don't want the Uber. They don't feel safe. And so while there may be a limited allowance for certain people or certain groups, I know in Northern Virginia, because we don't have any of those qualifiers, we're able to address all levels without restriction in our transportation program.
I think too, a difference that it's hard for us to always articulate. And one of my favorite quotes is, you just have to experience us to understand the difference. First of all, there's a place for everything. And there is definitely a place for senior centers. They are meeting important needs. But one way that we are radically different, if you will, it goes back to that concept of empowerment, and everybody talked about it. We don't say, come and take this class. The people that are engaged say, we want a class on. And so it truly is driven by the older adults. We say that our programs are designed by and with older adults. We don't dictate the programming. And that sounds subtle, but in practice, it truly is radically different.
Yeah, and I would also just kind of throw in that not every AAA senior center is the same.
Yeah.
So here in St. Louis, the offerings of our senior centers might be very different than yours, and they might not fulfill all those needs. Like I know here locally, they discontinued their transportation service. So we are the only free drive door-through-door service in St. Louis County. So that's one thing to be considered. And also, when people come to us for help, we also always throw in that not one service is ever going to fulfill all your needs. So in order to be a really successful caregiver, you need to have more than one basket or, can't put all your eggs in one basket. So you need to be able to, there might be things that the Shepherd Center is just bullseye to fulfill those needs, but other organizations might be good for other things too. So just like Sarah said, there's absolutely room for all of us.
I love it. Man, this is so great. And yeah, Betsy, and also the attendee said Medicaid covering things. Medicaid is very restricted in the types of services that you're going to get. And somebody who is Medicaid qualified would, if there is an Aging Forward Alliance member in their community, this could just enhance the services that they're getting under that entitlement program. So hopefully, Betsy, to your thing, I call it's sort of like a Swiss Army knife. We got a lot of different things. You've got you might have a home care agency that you can afford one day a week, but then you might have neighbors that come by and spend time with you. And then you might have Aging Forward Alliance members that are providing support to you. And you put all this in a basket, and hopefully you're living a purposeful life in the budget that you need to work on. So anyways, not surprising we went long today. This is amazing discussion. I'll get the recording up to ProAging at proaging.com, and really excited to see where things go. And I love the new rebranding, Sarah.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Oh, you bet.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.